afternoon, Selenium Conference. How are we all doing? That was actually pretty good. I'm impressed by that. Generally after lunch there, everybody's like, yay. But it's great to hear that everybody has some still energy, which is great and fantastic. I'm actually going to have a buddy of mine, Jesus Diaz, actually do the lightning talks because he expressed some interest and I was like, sure, why not? We'll give him a chance. So come on up, Jesus, and you're going to get these lightning talks started.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Lightning Talks. Are you ready? Yes. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, remember guys, 3 minutes. And okay, our first speaker will be Mark. And he will talk about things changed after Selenium Conf Tokyo. The stage is yours.
Hi, my name is Mark Ward. I'm Japanese, so the Mark Ward is my English name. Nice to meet you, everyone. Please follow me on Twitter at MarkMKWRD. And this is a very tough task for me to talk in English for front of many great engineers. Yeah. And I would like to talk about the things changed after Selenium Conference Tokyo. And did attend to Selenium Conference Tokyo? Oh, many people, thank you. Thank you so much. And after the Selenium Conference Tokyo, I found 2 significant changes. The first one, Japanese test automators found their testing ways are not so matured. I mean, on Selenium Conference Tokyo, a speaker talked about his test automation strategy using Excel. And some foreign engineers burst into laughter. So, but speaker, of course, was very serious and insisted that how Excel worked greatly. Of course, I agreed with him, because we use Excel, of course, but I cannot recommend you to use Excel for testing activities, right? So many Japanese engineers realize that their way is not so great or for international levels. This is the first change, very significant change. Second one. The second one is a new branch of Japan Selenium user community created in Osaka. Do you know Osaka? Yes, I know Osaka. So as you may imagine, there's lots of meetups and conferences in Tokyo, the capital of Japan. But engineers living in other districts feel difficult to catch educations or communicate with great engineers. So the new branch in Osaka makes, well, I think, epic. I would like to wrap up this talk, but I would like to finally thank you for Selenium and Selenium community and all of engineers. I would like to come next Selenium conferences. Thank you. See you next time.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mark. And okay, well, our next speaker will be Marat, and he talks about quick brainstorming with myself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Indeed, my name is Marat. And today I wanted to ask myself a question. If I got like a web application that I would like to automate, what would be the framework that I should choose for this purpose? I believe most of you will agree with me that it should be the Selenium framework. And I agree with it myself as well on this point. And yeah, basically Selenium provides us with the web drivers for all the web browsers that we have and provides us with the standardized W3C protocol and the language binding, so anyone who code in any kind of a language can use it, so it's all fine. And this answer was basically very simple to a simple question, what framework should I use? But soon enough, like after I choose what framework needs to be used, there are some other questions that needs to be answered, such as, for example, how do I produce reports? How do I generate some sort of PDF files answering was the automation successful or not? How do I schedule this automation? How do I integrate with my continuous integration so the automation will be executed automatically? How I get automatic notifications? And all this stuff basically creates some sort of a monster that needs to be contained and needs to be fed so that it won't die. And everyone around is messing with this automation. Everyone is relying on this automation. And there are plenty of solutions out there helping you to solve this problem, I guess. But the main aspects for me when choosing this kind of a solution would probably be, first of all, an easy startup so that I can migrate anything I have already into this platform. The second one would be the structure that it proposes. Perhaps it might be even a cloud solution, something that will allow me to store everything and allow people to collaborate. And the most important probably would be is how much does it cost? So if it would be a free solution, it could be even greater than anything that might cost less or more. And this is it. I guess that's everything I had to say. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Michael. He will talk about standing on the shoulders of WebDriver.
Thank you. I thought 3 minutes is a perfect time spent to talk a little bit about innovation. So I'm a big believer that innovation can't be forced. Innovation happens. So I want to share with you my experience on that, and especially what role WebDriver played in that game. I need to mention I work at RunRX, and in RunRX we provide a UI automation solution. But when I come to RunRX, I had one problem. Because I come from the Java world, I was used to Java for several years. I was used to my Eclipse. And RunRX is based on a .NET technology stack. So in the afterworks beers, I was complaining a bit to the developers that I miss my Java world and why I'm forced to use .NET and so on and so on. So what happened? After some months, a developer was knocking at my door. And he was one of these brilliant minds with long hair, beard, and he was able to solve things in 2 minutes where I need days. So he told me that he wants to show me something. And I followed him into his office, which was, of course, dark and sun protected, and he pointed my attention to a little code snippet he had there. And I took a look at the code snippet, and yeah, it was written in Java, and there were some WebDriver click commands, some basic type actions, and it looked quite nice. So I told him, yeah, nice, but why do you show that to me? And he was smiling, executed the script, and what happened surprised me, because suddenly Eclipse was popping up, a new project was created, and a new file, and in the file was written, I hope you stop complaining now, ... So I needed some time until I realized what this guy has just done. So he was utilizing, or he was exposing the RunRX test technology via the WebDriver interface. So this enabled me to use now the test technology. I need to work with Java, and I could switch back to Eclipse. And that was, for me, the proof that innovation sometimes just happens. Thanks.
Thank you very much. The next speaker, Sean Redmond, to talk about artificial intelligence test automation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm part of the team of Vitac, powered by Scriptworks. We're proud to be the innovation partner here at the conference. You may have already come to talk to us at the back. Over 100 of you have already. Thank you very much for that. So we're based at Bletchley Park. And many of you know Bletchley Park. Those that don't may have watched the movie, The Imitation Game, with Benedict Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley. Fantastic movie. You haven't seen it, go watch it. And what we get to do is walk in the footsteps of Alan Turing every day as we go into the office. What the history of Bletchley Park and Alan Turing taught us as a team of geeky guys, some of you won't know, Alan Turing was actually Asperger's autistic. A lot of the guys in my team that come into work, they think we're the mad professors on the site, you know. And what that history taught us is you should never doubt that a small team of people can change the world, because indeed, it is the only thing that ever does. Our small team of people came up with an idea to apply machine learning and AI to test automation, to do it at two levels of your test pane. One is at the visual programming and test activity level, to focus on the user journeys that you care about and automatically generate tests to fully cover your user journeys using machine learning, using your expertise on what you know you need to test. And using AIs down at the smart selector level, so we take the pain away from the selectors in Selenium. So we're using machine learning to help you change the world of your testing, to help you do significantly more testing in your week, using our small team of experts to deliver you tools that help you improve your testing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sun. Okay, the next speaker, Kiran, will talk about how to build a culture for accessibility.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Kiran, and I'd like to share 5 key steps that we've taken at The Economist to try and build a culture for accessibility. Number 1, don't stop talking. So we use Slack as our internal communication medium, and some months ago, we created an accessibility channel to raise awareness. The goal was to share knowledge, ideas, best practices, and issues that we face. This was the first step that we took to really get people to talk about accessibility and understand its importance. An area we'd like to improve is to share more of our successes, because we do a lot of good things. So with good things, you should be sharing them. Number 2, get involved. I firmly believe that we should all care about accessibility in all of our products. Even if you're not directly working on that product, providing some sort of feedback, support, or guidance, in my experience, has always been appreciated. If you've never had to adjust the word spacing or the line height of text, or use a screen reader, try it, because it really gives you an insight to how helpful it could be to someone. How I'd like to improve here is to have champions or advocates in different squads. And I think having a support network in different areas of the organization means we're really thinking about accessibility at all levels. Step 3, make small steps. So we know that Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And important work takes a lot of time. So we trialed out quite a few different automated tools to get some rapid feedback. And the aim was, to get some quick wins. We created a checklist in the form of a mind map to help reviewers at the review stage to test new features. And the team started to build out component libraries for consistency. To improve again, I'd like us to create a module or a starter pack. So this could be part of our onboarding process. And I think this would be a really good way to embed and grow the culture. Number 4, carry out an audit of your product. So these tools are really good. They're very helpful. But it was only until we actually carried out the audit ourselves did we really understand what the guidelines meant. And by doing this, that's how you know how to improve your product. Again, to improve here, I'd like to get an external company to do an audit. The more eyes we get, the more feedback, the better it's going to be for the important people, our users. And the last step, it's really off-putting. The last step, keep learning. So in all of my 4 previous steps, I've spoken about ways that we can improve the process. As with everything, you need to keep on learning. Conferences, such as this place, has been a great place to learn from experts. Like yesterday, for example. Learning about accessibility in unit tests was something that I didn't know could be possible. Writing blogs and reading blogs and forming a wider network is also a great way to collaborate. A key aim for us in the future is to host workshops with users to really experience what they go through. So really quickly to summarize, 5 steps, don't stop talking. I know. Don't stop talking. Don't stop talking. Get involved, make small steps, do an audit, and keep learning. Hopefully that's helped.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, now our friend Dermont, please join us on stage to talk about BDD, sleep disorders, and you.
And me. Hi, everyone. So, several years ago, I'm not going to say how many years ago, I started in IT. I've been all sorts of things. I've been a developer, I've been in support, I've been, most recently, I was a tester and test automation engineer. And then about 9 years ago, I got diagnosed with a sleep disorder. So my particular sleep disorder is called idiopathic hypersomnia. And the main symptoms of that are excessive daytime sleepiness, occasional sleep attacks, and cognitive deficit. So as you can imagine, that can have some knock-on effects when you're involved in an intensive sort of industry like IT, where you're developing or you're in support or you're testing. And then around about 2012, I started working in a few projects that were using BDD to kind of redo the way that we develop software and kind of look at it from a different light and basically try to leverage all the benefits that BDD has. Now, I won't get into all of them. I'll just touch on how this kind of affected me in particular. And there are plenty of other people around who can talk about BDD to greater extents and in greater detail than I can. But basically, from my point of view, we'll take some of the symptoms. So my concentration would have been affected when I have some sleepy episodes, right? But I found that the high-level overview that you can have with a BDD feature file, for example, helps me to stay focused. I always have something that I can refer back to if I ever lose my way in the step definitions. And then in terms of reporting, everything is highlighted. I can follow along quite easily, even if I'm at my cognitive low, okay? In terms of memory, so cognitive deficit and memory issues, I know that I can always go back to the single source of truth. So I don't have to keep multiple versions of what we're aiming at, what we're developing in my head at any given time. All I need to do is go back to our living documentation, and that will inform everything I need to do. And then finally, confidence. So as you can imagine, having something like a sleep disorder can knock your confidence. You're not able to do what you thought you were able to do in quite the same way. But when you develop using BDD, where you're discussing everything, you go through a lengthy discovery period, you involve all of the three amigos from the product ownership, from development, from QA, everyone has agreement, consensus is established. As you might imagine, that gives you a really rock-solid foundation that you can rely on. And it's no longer solely on your own shoulders. You've kind of distributed the responsibility for your development across everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dermont. Okay, the next speaker, Brian, with the talk about making the leap to Python 3.
Hi guys, I'm Brian. I'm from New York. I've been doing test automation for about 6 years now, and I like to write my tests in Python. And if anyone likes to write Python code, you would know that one big issue coming up is making the change to Python 3. And for a lot of people, it seems kind of scary. It seems like a big change, but there's really not too much work that needs to be done to make that switch, and I'm going to give you 5 quick tips to do that. So the first one is setting up the environment for the project. The standard for a long time has been this script called virtual env, And the Python maintainers decided that was a great idea, so they wrapped it into the main project. And now if you want to set up an environment, you just run Python 3 with the M option and the venv option, and that creates the virtual environment, and that's now the standard way to do it. Moving on to the next one, the big thing that a lot of people notice is that the print statement is gone, and now it's a function. And usually in a test, you probably shouldn't be using the print statement. You're supposed to use this logging function. That's kind of the standard way to do it. But we've all been there. We all have to make a quick fix and do some quick logging. So the print statement is your go-to. So that, you just have to know that it's turned into a function. You add some parentheses around the call, and that turns it into the print function. The next thing is for strings. That's particularly important with Selenium because a lot of times you're getting back text from an element, and that text would be in a Unicode class in Python 2. And in order to work with that in Python 3, you have to know that now there's no more different types of string. There's just one type of string. So whenever you get back text, you don't have to worry about converting it from type to type. It's just one string, one type. The next thing is for classes. They decided with classes to get rid of the syntax where you have to put the word object after the class to say that it's a base object. Now you just say the class and the class name, and that's how you declare class, and it simplifies everything. And the last thing is for the standard library, they moved a few modules around. There's one that I like to use called URL lib parse. And whenever I tried to import it, it would always say, oh, sorry, it's gone. You can't import it anymore. And I thought maybe they deleted it. But actually, they just moved it to a different place. So take a look through the documents for the standard library. Look for that. There's a few things moved around, but it's pretty easy to manage once you get there. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Brian. Okay, next speaker, Christian, to talk about use internal API contracts.
Hello, I'm Christian. I'm here to talk about using APIs as basis for making better tests. There were several talks yesterday about how you should move certain parts of your workflow tests to the API level because it's a lot cheaper and you can test at a lot higher detail with less time than doing it through WebDriver. Now, in a lot of projects I've been to, there's like the back-end people over there. They do server stuff. And there's the front-end people over there, and they do front-end stuff, doing something like React or whatever. And what I've seen at least 2 or 3 times is that, well, these front-end people, what do they actually do? Well, we have React, like all the client stuff, and this node server and all that stuff happening over there. And at one point you realize that these guys actually have APIs too, but you're testing them through WebDriver. And the problem here is that sometimes they just hide their APIs. They're not telling anyone, oh, shh, we do this stuff on the node server. And the backend stuff over there, we know how to test that through the APIs. But what you need to do is work with those guys. The moment you realize that you actually have more APIs than you thought, you should solidify those contracts. Make reviews, because 1 or 2 years down the line, you'll have other people wanting to use some of those features. And when you actually have solid tests using those APIs instead of WebDriver, you can actually have a lot more test coverage for a lot less money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Gordon, please, with the talk, 200 fully headed browsers on one machine.
Thank you very much. I'd like to apologise in advance. I'm a very late substitute. My colleague had to dash off, unfortunately. But the subject of this talk is really the feasibility of doing load and performance testing with Selenium and the Selenium family of tools. But to answer the question directly, and I don't know whether people have got experience of using large numbers of parallel instances of Selenium for load testing, but on a recent project, we did achieve 200 fully headed browsers running at a realistic speed on a 32-core machine, just at an average of 50% CPU, just to give some idea of the scalability. But I think there's an important lesson here. Moore's law is on our side, and moving performance and load testing up to the UI level and the browser level is now a really compelling and feasible technique. And the reasons are that, I don't know, many of you may have not done a lot of performance testing, but often it's been done at the protocol level, and with modern applications, which are going off to lots of different services, got very complex data synchronization and parameterization. It's very, very difficult to get realistic tests that way. So a true end-to-end testing through the UI is a really useful technique that's coming into its own. Just to give an example, a recent example, App Dynamics, Microsoft project. A team had been in there for 3 months trying to automate it for load tests, and they got no working, really no working script at all at the end of that period. But after about 3 weeks, we had a full test coverage by going through, by using Selenium and actually webdriver as well. There are a lot of challenges, and I'd be really, if people have got experience, I'd be really keen to kind of share experiences with people. You know, robustness, managing the testing infrastructure, error reporting, error recovery, and so on. That they're really challenging when you're trying to use Selenium. But the potential also for reuse of automation elements across functional and load, it is pretty compelling. And you know, our experience is that it can be done, and there's a really compelling economic and technical case for it. And I'd be really happy to just discuss people's experience. But thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now our last talk, from unicorn to Kraken in 1 minute.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Arjan.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to cheat, because that's what I do, you will see. I have some slides, which are not these.
Don't take my talk, man.
Yeah, apparently. So, right, there we go. So this is not a very educational talk, but if there's one thing you can take away from this, it's that the Test Automation University does an amazing job at providing online training material for all of us, and you should definitely go and check that out. They have rankings. As you can see, you can go, you start off as a unicorn and you can go all the way to becoming a Kraken. You have a profile page. This was my profile page until not too long ago. You have a score, you have badges. It's all very, very nice. There are incentives to continue taking courses. But then they gamified it. And lo and behold, I was at number 1. Yay! But once you start gamifying something, you know, it's going to be on like Donkey Kong. You know, you want to stay there at the number 1, or other people will try to do so as well. So what I did is basically, I wrote a script that scraped the website for all the answers, all the course information. I stored that. As you can see, it also contains some answers to some questions, and then all I had to do was run that script, because you know that's what we guys do. I had a few challenges, you know, getting the chapters and the questions from the site, getting the correct answers. In the end, I brute forced it, and creating the certificates. Now, I'm not going to explain you exactly how I all did this, because you know we wouldn't want that. I was pretty proud of myself, but I made it very obvious that I cheated, because I rickrolled them basically, and I sent a tweet to Angie. They silenced it, sort of, because I spoken to them afterwards, but they thought I hacked the database or something while I just brute forced it. So that account got blocked. So remember, cheating is bad. Even if the company is teaching, or the website you're using is teaching you everything you need to know to cheat. And you shouldn't take this list too serious, because if I can do it, other people can do. Maybe even the old tech way, you know, just doing it one by one. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Arjan, and thank you to the rest of the speakers for your time, and enjoy the event.
Wait 1 second.
Okay.
1 second. Sorry, everybody. How are we doing? Let's give another round of applause for the speakers. I mean, it is tough to get up here and talk to you because it's